Trump is threatening to go to war on Nigeria a day after designating the West African nation a country of particular concern over the killings of thousands of Christians there.
Well, I can't believe I'm doing this again. For those of you that are unaware, I used to specifically talk about this region of Africa on YouTube before I got into political commentary, and nobody seemed to care what was happening in this part of Africa, and now, of course, all eyes are on Nigeria. What is happening with these Christians? Are we about to go to war? So I'm gonna do my best to make this as simple as possible for you to understand. This is simply an introduction course, and even this video will seem a little confusing because there's a lot to this story. Now, before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. And again, I haven't made a geopolitical video in about 2 years. Make sure you guys please like the video, subscribe, so others can see what's going on in Nigeria and the surrounding region.
Trump is threatening to go to war on Nigeria a day after designating the West African nation a country of particular concern over the killings of thousands of Christians there.
Okay, so by now you have all heard this. There are Christians losing their lives every single day in Nigeria. The United States needs to step in and protect these Christians. However, this has been an ongoing issue for the last 15 years, but this is where it gets a little complex because it's not only Christians, it's also Muslims. Thus, you get into a definition war. And trust me, I understand. If it's one life, that's still too much, but let me just tell you what's going on. In Nigeria, you have officials who are saying, yes, it's very destructive, many Christians, Muslims are losing their lives, but it's not a genocide, it's something else. It's something really bad, but we cannot put this in the genocide category. This is the definition war, and this is what we're seeing coming out of Nigeria. And this is why the genocide definition matters to Nigeria specifically. To everyone else, we're like, hey, something really bad is happening, whether it's genocide or not, let's do something. But this is why Nigeria really cares about this definition. If it is deemed there is a genocide happening in Nigeria, that opens up the doors for sanctions, international intervention, the United Nations putting pressure on Nigeria. This is not a situation any country wants to be in, let alone Nigeria, let alone in this part of the world. And I want to make this clear. When I was editing the video, I have to throw this in there. Nigeria is okay with the United States coming into Nigeria and doing whatever military action needs to be done to take out these terror groups. But again, Nigeria does not want to be classified as an area of a genocide at all. Let's continue. Now, this is how Nigeria is able to avoid this definition of, well, it's a genocide. Because we have these main factions known as Boko Haram, a terror group, and also IS West Africa, or ISWA, another terror group, Nigeria is claiming these groups are doing broad actions to all peaceful people, not just Christians, not just Muslims. Thus, when you look into the definition of what a genocide is, you cannot put that in the definition of genocide. Again, don't get mad at me, I'm just trying to show you why it seems like Nigeria is not taking this situation serious. So I really wanted to clear this up because I'm realizing people don't even know what they're denying. People are denying that Christians are losing their lives in Nigeria. That's not even the argument. The denial comes from this definition of, is it a genocide or not? To Christians, this is clearly a genocide. And by the way, to the Muslims in Nigeria, they're also saying this is a genocide. Now, to make things even more complex, the country of Nigeria actually has a rather decent force. I mean, they're ranked 31 out of 145 militaries in the world as far as superpowers, and they used to be a little higher, but it looks like they slid down in rankings. Now, I always say this, on paper, a lot of times these ranks don't matter, but as far as an African nation being this high up in the military rankings, that's pretty good. So what's the problem? How is the country of Nigeria not able to handle these terror groups? Well, it's not only the country of Nigeria, it's practically every country within this Sahel region of Africa, the most dangerous place on earth. As Americans, we tend to think, well, the most dangerous place on earth has to be in the Middle East, right? I mean, we've been at war in Iraq and Afghanistan Think again. Statistically speaking, the Sahel region has always been an issue for terror groups roaming free, doing whatever they want. In fact, I have a document to prove we have always known this is a problem. This is from November 7th, 2002. It's something known as the Pan-Sahel Initiative. This document highlights how in Chad, Niger, Mali, in this region we're talking about, the United States was already visiting these countries and talking about how can we work with you? What do we need to do to take out these terror groups? 2002, we were already in this region of Africa, also on the eastern part of Africa as well, over in Somalia. So I'm just trying to show you guys, it's not like all of a sudden, whoa, all these Christians are losing their lives. No, this has always been a problem. The United States has always identified this region of Africa as an issue. We've been fighting side by side with African partners to try and handle these terror groups, yet it's still an issue. And just to show you guys what happened in October alone, there are charts that update violent activities within countries of Africa. 300 violent attacks in Nigeria alone in October. 300. Imagine right now in the United States, just one violent attack happens, that's a big deal. 300 in 1 month, that's a massive deal. So this is an ongoing issue to show you in real time. Now, for those of you saying, what's the point? Why are we going to Africa? I don't care about these Christians. We did the thing in the Middle East, it didn't work out. Understand, this is a very complex issue, also involving China and Russia. Basically, the United States, Russia, and China all have different strategies in Africa. China does we're going to build roads, we're going to build universities, we're going to build ports that we might use later for military actions in the Atlantic. That's actually happening. Number two, you have Russia. They go into nations that are war-torn and they say, hey, we're going to help you out. We have something known as the Wagner Group. We have mercenaries. We can help you out. But if we do help you out, you have to give us some gold, you have to give us some minerals, stuff like that. Then the United States kind of does both. We go into war-torn countries, we go into peaceful countries, we sort of mesh both of those strategies. But for the United States, we are slowly losing trust with these African countries. Specifically, Western nations in general are losing trust with African countries. In fact, one country who has been kicked out of 6 African countries very recently is France. And guess what? France and the United States both got kicked out of Niger, Africa. We cannot afford to lose friendship or allyship with Nigeria. That would be detrimental. Russia and China would absolutely sweep right in, and that would be a problem not only for the United States, but also for Europe when it comes to military action, economic stability. There's a lot of issues here if we lose Nigeria as a friend or any other African nations at this point. So again, the point I'm trying to make is, even if you don't care about these Christians, you don't care about Nigeria, you don't care about the Muslims, this is a broader issue that would affect the United States and Europe, that would affect everything if all of a sudden China and Russia are able to gain a stronghold in Nigeria and all of these other African nations like they are doing right now. And they're doing it really fast, and China especially is gaining a ton of ground in Africa. They're gaining a lot of trust, and the United States is looking for a reason to also gain this trust. And the way these countries work is they look for instability. If Nigeria becomes so unstable, they have no choice but to look for outside help. Are they going to go to the United States? Are they going to go to Russia? Or are they going to go to China? And those are the options. They're not going to go to the Europeans. I mean, they consider them like colonizers. They're not going to go to them. They're definitely not going to go to France. It's only the US, China, and Russia. That's all that matters right now in Africa for African nations who are looking for help. And that's either through wealth stability or security of the nation. Now, I found this video to give us a general education as to what exactly is happening.
Boko Haram has been around for a very long time, starting back in 2002, long before ISIS even became a thing.
Like we talked about, the Pan-Sahel Initiative.
And as time went on, they got more and more extreme to the point where in 2011, they detonated a car bomb at this building behind me. That's the UN embassy here in Abuja. They've continued to kill people across the country of Nigeria, thousands in fact, to the point where in 2015, they were dubbed the most dangerous terror group on the planet. Much of that terror directed at Christians. Enoch Yohana was one of Aisha's neighbors.
They started with burning of the churches, killing pastors and killing the members, closing them down.
And he goes on to talk about how his father was taken out, and his father is a martyr. I mean, he would not deny Christ. They were trying to get him to deny Christ. He would not do it. Again, this is why I really wanted to say people don't even know what they're denying. And that's why I had to make this video, because people are downplaying what's going on in Nigeria. And really, I want to call out this entire region of Africa. It's a very unfortunate situation. And if there's one country who can really make a difference in Nigeria, it is the United States. And guess what? Again, this is nothing new for the US. We've already been conducting strikes in Africa here very recently. I mean, check this out. On 10/29, taking out targets in IS Somalia. 10/28, IS Somalia. 10/28, Al-Shabaab. 10/26, Somalia. 10/26, Somalia. 10/22, Somalia. We have been active in Africa, and I'm actually going to critique the Trump administration. The Trump administration is actually very bad at their press release or letting anyone know what's going on with military conflicts. You don't have to give the details, but compared to the Biden administration, and trust me, not a fan of how Biden conducted the military at all, they at least told everybody what was going on, generally speaking. That's why I had to stop talking about geopolitical events. I can't get any information with the Trump admin. But now, again, I'm just trying to show you guys, you have to do your research. We have been active in Africa here very recently, and again, in a contentious spot. So it makes total sense for the US to go into another spot of Africa if we're already willing to take out enemies of the United States, and the enemies identified in Nigeria are enemies of the United States. This is why, legally speaking and tactically speaking, it already makes sense. I think what the biggest holdup for a lot of people is using the justification for Christians. So if you're held up on that, just so you know, it's not only Christians, it's also Muslims. It's all peaceful people in that region, or anyone who doesn't agree with the terror groups that want stuff to get done in their way. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and again, I know the country we are isolating and talking about is Nigeria, but understand it is a broader issue. It just is. The United States cannot afford to lose another ally. They have to insert themselves as a military power. This is a huge game that's being played in Africa between China and Russia, and we're just going to speak facts here. China and Russia have a ton of momentum in Africa, taking advantage of destabilized countries. And if we allow for the country of Nigeria to become destabilized, once again, another partner falls to China or Russia, because China is willing to give anything a country wants as far as, do you want a port? We'll do it. You gotta let me use it though. Do you want colleges? That's fine, but you gotta let me go into your country and I have to mine some gold. Russia, they kind of play that middle game of, we're gonna be your security forces, but we know based off the evidence they tend to really destabilize countries even more, and then further on they just create African states into their own countries. I mean, it's a very dirty game being played by Russia. So again, the United States is kind of caught in the middle. Unfortunately for the United States, they have not the greatest reputation due to France and some other Western powers, so the US is really doing everything they can to at least try and keep some momentum, try and keep some friendships in Africa. And out of all the countries in Africa, Nigeria has always been one of the most stable partnerships for the United States, especially in a very unstable region. We've done military games together, we've done cross-training, so there is a partnership there. The biggest headache for the United States seems to be this denial of how bad the situation is in Nigeria. So when you're friends with a country that has its own destabilized issues going on, I mean, the US has no choice but to step in and do something, which is why members of Congress are even saying, guys, we cannot keep turning away. We know this is happening. This is a partner in the region. We have to help out. We have to do something. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, this is as basic as I could make it. I did go over some details. I could have gone into way more detail, but I just tried to make this so easy for everyone to understand, just so you have a baseline. And I want to throw this out there. I really do think the biggest holdup right now is is the definition. Is it a genocide? Is it not? And to the country of Nigeria, of course, they do not want to fall into that category of a country that is embarrassing for a country, but also it has a lot of implications of things that could happen to that country. And with the other countries in the region where that has been a thing, Nigeria does not want to fall susceptible to what happened in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. Those countries tend to fall apart very fast once you categorize them as a dangerous state or a destabilized state. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I always advocate for peace on my channel. God bless, and we'll see you all later.